Hi, everyone. Welcome to WOTS Weekly Features. Today's guest is Ivy Wong, founder of the Ripple Foundation. We'll be talking about the Kids Write for Kids contest winners, writing workshops, and other opportunities at the foundation. I'm Yeli, and I'll be your host. WOTS Toronto operates on land that is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Paytune First Nations, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation. This territory is the subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Confederacy of the Anishinaabeg and Allied Nations to care for and share the resources around the Great Lakes in peace. We encourage you to educate yourself about the land that you live on wherever you're tuning in from. So as I mentioned, today's guest is Ivy Wong. Ivy is the founder of the Ripple Foundation. And I'm noticing we don't have a bio, so we'll bring you on screen, Ivy. And to start off, could you maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, sure. I started Ripple Foundation Ripple Foundation kind of happened organically, right? And so I have two businesses that focus on creative, provide digital design solution. One is Splash Interactive, and the other one is Ripple Digital Publishing. And in 2012, I was at a point where I want to do something that want to focus on giving back. And the project that was fun, that's something that I really wanted to do, not because I have to do, right? And so we came up with, a writing contest for kids, from grade 1 to grade 6. And where the stories would get submitted and we're publishing the real book and make it available for sale. And then the net proceeds would get donated to another charity. So this was back in 2012. Amazing. Yeah, so I did that for about 3 years as a not-for-profit project through my own digital publishing company. Then 2015 was a turning point where one of my friends suggested I, kind of expanded the program and get volunteers involved. And that's when I was introduced to a website that's called Volunteer Toronto. So it's an amazing website. People actually go to the website, look for volunteer opportunities. And it was through that website that I landed overnight, with 30 volunteers helping out, promoting the program and stuff. And that was when I officially registered Ripple Foundation as a official not-for-profit, right? And where we started to include a writing workshop, for kids, because to help them to enhance, on the creative writing, and then eventually launching a wave blog for our older kids, to continue to share their passion, their interest, their view with other peers, like a peer-to-peer blog for a high school student, right? And it was only in 2018 we officially registered as a charitable organization, where we can apply for grants, and fundings and donations, because all our programs are 100% free, and we are 100% volunteer run. So it's been pretty amazing. So it kind of happened all very organically, in terms of how it kind of be where we are today. Yeah.
Amazing. You mentioned that it's for kids grades 1 to 6 around that age?
The first year contest, we did it from grade 1 to grade 6, but then we realized that grade 1 to grade 3 was a little bit too young to compare to the grade 6. So then year 2 and moving forward, we changed up to grade 4 to grade 8, which was a much more healthier gamut. Today, I think we published, 19 titles. And we had winners from all the grades, from grade 1, grade 4 to grade 5 to grade 6 to grade 7 to grade 8. So it's pretty amazing. And we also have winners from all the different provinces as well, from BC, from Alberta, from Halifax, from Ontario. So it's been great. It's been great. It's, we are nationwide. So yeah.
It sounds like you must get so many amazing creative ideas, because I feel like that age range is just so much imagination.
Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. This year, we had 2 winners. So these are the 2 winning titles, Learn to Fly and The Wonder Word. So this is a poetry. It's a lovely, lovely collections of poems that's written by a grade 8 student. Right.
Wow.
And so it's really, really nice. We don't get too many poetry entry. So that was actually the second poetry book that we have published. We also have one other one, which was this one. That was a first year winner. And this was actually written by grade 4. So it was kind of,
Wow.
yeah, it was kind of amazing. Like, you get a chance to read some of the poems in here. It's really, really funny. And it's great. And this story is also written by a grade 8 student. And it's in a dystopia, storyline in terms of and as you can see from the cover, it's adventure, it's adventurous, right? And there's something dystopia about. So it's a great story as well. So and I think throughout the years we've had different type of stories, like really lovable stories that about animals, right? About eating tacos, to some to some suspense, which is really, really good, and to some really great adventure, fantasy adventure. It's been amazing, and some fables. So the gamut has been really, really wide, and I think this has been phenomenal because we don't plan it. It just kind of happened, and every year we have a different judging panel, right? So it's the same judges all the time, right? So so it's pretty phenomenal.
Wow. Could you tell us a little bit about the process of the Kids Write for Kids contest and how do kids apply? What happens once they kind of hand that story over to you?
Sure. So the Kids Write for Kids is an annual competition. It starts on October 1st every year and ends on the following March 31st. So it fits within the school year cycle. There is 6 months, right? But even though there is 6 months, it seems like it's a long time. It isn't, because we want to encourage kids to start early so that they can review, edit, proofread, like any accomplished authors. A lot of published authors takes years to write their books, right? So 6 months isn't really that long of a time. It's very, very reasonable. And allow the kids to really fine tune their craft. And and we do have meet the author videos where some of these kids have shared some of their writing tips and where the story came from. So it's totally cool, right? And we have a student who won, Mrs. Moffat. She entered when she entered the contest when she was in grade 4, and then when she was in grade 5, and when grade 4, grade 5, she didn't even made it to the top 10, and in grade 6 she became the winner, right?
Oh, how
And
fun.
yeah, and so we do have students that are very determined, and she tells me that it has taken her a whole year to write the story, and that she's been editing, polishing, and renewing. And if she wasn't going to win, she was going to self-publish herself.
Wow.
I know, some determination for grade 6, right? So it's pretty phenomenal, right? Yeah.
That's amazing. It must be so nice to be able to feature them, like you said, in those videos. That's so
Yes,
fun.
it is. It is. And the thing is, a lot of these students, because they are from smaller towns or different areas and, and regions and neighborhoods, right? So they actually do get a lot of press on their own, without much of our effort, as the local, town hero, that kind of thing. I remember the first year, Hannah, yeah, Rennie. So she's from Whitecott, Alberta, right? She received so much press locally from her small town. It was amazing. It was and she was only I think she was only grade 4 and in grade 6, when she entered this contest and stuff. So there's definitely a lot of great stories. And and one of the things I hear a lot is from the parents and the teacher is that even with the kids themselves, it's a real big confidence booster, for them when they win, because they're happy, they're thrilled, they're also surprised, they're shocked, and they're also like, that this is amazing. It really boosts their confidence that now they feel that they can do more, they can go to the next step, that kind of thing, right? So you can apply. I mean, the contest is online. Every year we send out a lot of direct mails to school board, be on our mailing list, on our website, you can sign up and be notified when a contest starts, right? And you get this 6 months, to write your stories.
Amazing. Pivoting a little bit from that contest, I noticed on your website as well that you have something called Write It workshops. Could you tell us a little bit about those?
Sure. I mean, the thing is, The writing workshop, okay, is basically was something that came about after 3 years of reading all the entries, right? We realized that there were a lot of great stories, and there were a lot of stories that had potential, that we felt that it really, really could have, like, be the next step if they needed a little bit more boost, right? So the writing workshop is all focused about like how to write stories. So we have five series, but right now currently we have three that is virtual that we've been like teaching like almost like, so every month we do three consecutive series, and each workshop is only 1 hour, and it's every Saturday. Sometimes it's from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, depending on which month, right? So it's a whole series, and we do encourage students to take the whole series and not just one, because it because it is continual, because it's a story. So the first workshop is called Brainstorm Bonanza. It talks about how students brainstorm ideas on what should be your stories, right? So there's a bunch of exercise, to help you to brainstorm your ideas and what the story should be. So that's the first one. Then the second story is called Mixed Bag Mayhem. Mixed Bag Mayhem is about characters buildings, right? And in that workshop, we talked about characters doesn't always have to be human. It could be an alien, it could be an animal, it could be an ant, it really doesn't matter. Like, your character could be anything, right? And so Mixed Bag Mayhem talks about the characteristics, the description of the characters. What are the characters? And how do you make it interesting to be part of the story? So it's called Mixed Bag Mayhem. And then the third series is called Plotline Play by Play. And that's obviously, the title kind of speaks for itself. It's about creating a plot. That's very, very important. Like, what is the plot story? In our judging, our judges, we do have a criteria. It's being judged on the three components. 40% is based on originality and creativity of the stories, right? Mm-hmm. And then 40% is based on the character development and the plot and the details. And then 20% is based on like the technicals, like the grammar and the spelling, and all that kind of stuff, right? So, if you weight that, the creativity, and the plot and the characters, makes a big component of really, really makes the story, right? And we also want to make sure that your story is original, that you're not ripping off another stories and just kind of like, changing the characters and changing the names, right? So that's very important, right? And so that's why we have a big judging panel. Our judging panel consists of 12 people. Definitely the previous winners. All the previous winners gets to be on a judging panel. So it is amazing, because I look at the score, right? And it's always like, wow, like, they're really tough judges. Okay, I can tell this much. They are the tough ones. And then we have so we have three youth judges. We have six judges that are from the professional industry. So either they are from anywhere in editing, publishing, author, anyone that is within that publishing, industry professionals. Mm-hmm. And then we have three avid readers, and those avid readers could be from any industry, but those are avid readers that kind of like read a book a week. They are like bookworms. They just love reading, right? So this helps us to really, really hone in to make sure that we're picking a story that is interesting to the mass, not skew for any particular culture or background or what have not. So that's kind mm-hmm. of, what it is. Yeah.
It sounds like the foundation is very, very well-rounded. Like, not only are you celebrating their successes, but you're also mm-hmm. giving writers the tools to make their writing better. That's so nice to hear.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the thing is that we're very excited that next year we're going to be adapting the 2 additional workshops we have to virtual as well. So it's going to be like, so we're going to be expanding even more workshops, so for next year. So it's very, very exciting. We're constantly looking to improve our programs. So that's why we do take a lot of feedback, from parents, from students and stuff, right? And then mm-hmm. one additional program we have is called the Wave Blog. So the contests and the writing workshop, they're both for grade 4 to grade 8, right? So the Wave Blog is from grade 8 to grade 12, because we want to be able to provide a platform for these avid writers to continue their writing journey, right? And one of the things that I noticed online is that there isn't a lot of peer-to-peer readings, for high school students. There is obviously a lot of youth magazine. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? But most of those youth magazines are written by adults, right? And then all the individual schools or individual university would have their own, like, school paper, and stuff, right? So they're more close within that, community, right? So what Wave Blog is, okay, is a nationwide blog, for any high school students from anywhere in Canada, from grade 8 to grade 12, that wants to share their experience, their point of view, something that's personal, with other students, right? And so we publish, I think, over 140 blog posts already to date, which is amazing. So every week, we have a new blog post that goes live, and students can also earn volunteer hours for that, because we are a charity. So the students have to submit the resume, a writing sample. I personally do the phone interview with them, and where we discuss, like, what is it that they want to share? What is it that they want to write about, right? And we do have a professional editor. She has over like 10 years of editing experience in a publishing company. And she's amazing, Tamara. Like, she would mark up every little things, and we would send back to the writer to read, because we don't rewrite anything for them, right? We send back the comments, and we expect them to, to read it, understand it, and revise it, right? And typically we go through about 2 or 3 rounds. So there's a lot of work. But the thing is, the student really gets to feel what it's like to be in the publishing industry, because because that's really what happens, right? All writers, needs their work to be edited, and read, because sometimes you're writing about something and it makes sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to the person that's reading it, right? So we always make sure that everything gets properly edited before we publish anything, right? And since COVID, we've been getting a lot more student that wants to write for us. A couple of things, some for the volunteer hours, and some of the students, they don't even care about the volunteers. They say, you know what, I've got my volunteer hours, I just want to write.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah, which is amazing. And there are some that's really good. So I totally recommend you to go to the Wave blog, to read some of the blog posts, because some of them are really, really, really well written. So yeah.
Awesome. Are there any other volunteering opportunities that you'd like to talk about that we haven't touched on already?
Yes, there is, in fact. So recently we start launching virtual workshop assistant facilitator. So every single workshop that we have virtually, right? We have average class size could be anywhere. We've gotten some crazy class size of 80 students, to students like that's 30, right? But I think, our preference, is like around 35 to 40 students. Okay, that's our preferred size. And typically we have about anywhere from 4 to 5 facilitators, so that we can use breakout rooms in Zoom. So each facilitators will work with 8 to 10 students, right? So that they're not overwhelmed, right? And so one of the opportunities we have now is that for high school students that likes to work with students and that have done tutorings before, or wants to, get some experience, they can earn 5 hours, okay, to do virtual, assistant facilitator, to be one of them. Obviously, we will provide them with proper training, right? So that's why it's 5 hours. So each virtual workshop is only 1 hour, right? So you have to do a series, which is 3. And so you have the 2 hours, and 1 hour is for training, and 1 hour is for you to familiarize with the materials, before you, you do the virtual, workshop. So it's a great opportunity. And recently we've been getting resumes, from students that wants to volunteer this opportunity. It's another great way to earn volunteer hours, because with COVID, there's a lot of students that needs the volunteer hours, and they're trying to find, virtual opportunities, right? And so these are 2 that we have that works out really well for them. One is being run for Wave blog, and one is as a virtual facilitator's assistant. And you could do both. You're not limited to just do one. So we've had students that have say, hey, I've written 1 blog. Can I also volunteer as a virtual? I say, oh yeah, for sure. Why not? And we will put them in touch, with our workshop manager, and a team, and they will coordinate with them to arrange a day for training and stuff, right? So it's super awesome. We have also had some student that has written more than 1 blog post for us, because they love writing so much. So yeah, so these are like amazing opportunities that I see that, any student throughout the whole Canada, can participate.
Amazing. Out of all of these outstanding things that you're doing, do you have maybe like a favorite memory or something that stands out to you that you've done in the past with Ripple?
Oh, I think there are too many.
I bet.
There are a lot. I think one of the things is I'm very, very grateful that we have amazing volunteers. Okay. When I say that Ripple Foundation happened organically, I really literally mean that, because it wasn't like I sat down and I wrote a whole business proposal, and this is what I'm going to do. It wasn't like that at all. I needed, obviously, I'm not a school teacher, right? I didn't put together the writing workshop. I had an amazing, teacher who was one of our board member with over 20 years of experience, to help us to come up with, the writing workshop, and I worked with her on that, right? But she gave the foundation of what the material should be like, right? The same thing with the Wave blog. I mean, I'm not an editor, right? I really needed, someone in the editing industry that is professional, that's willing to work with students, willing to dedicate the time for it, because all our volunteers has full-time jobs, right?
Wow.
And so, and Tamara is amazing that, she's able to, give the time, to be able to work with students in the capacity that we do, right? Heads off to all the people that has ever volunteered as on a judging panel. They have to read the story, they have to rate it, they have to provide feedback and comments. And, and some of the, these judging panel, okay, they are accomplished authors, that have a very, very busy schedule, right? And yet they're able to find time, to help us to do this, right? So I think, there's just so many, amazing thing, and obviously, Bethany, who've met, our PR, I mean, she's amazing, we've recently, we were, featured at CBC, with the writing workshop. So that was great. We had a student that was also part of the interview, that participated in our writing workshop. And yeah, so there's just too many.
It sounds like there's a lot of love and community that goes into making everything happen.
There is. It's definitely a massive team effort, because none of this would be possible, right? To think that every Saturday, some of our volunteers will go online, log in, and I think what really makes the experience is that we also have amazing participants, because students that sign up our writing workshop, they want to learn. I mean, this is an extracurricular thing, right? It's not like, you have to do it, you sign up because you want to do it, right? I mean, I want to look at, I want to say writing is just like any other sports, it's so easy to kind of think that, yeah, let's do camping, let's do baseball, let's do that. But yeah, let's do writing too,
Yeah.
Why not put it in there, right? It's that kind of thing, right? So we have amazing students when they sign up to do the workshop, they are excited, they want to learn, right? And I think, as a teacher, as an educator, as a facilitator, when you have that, when you have good students, you only want to do more, right? For the students, right? You want to make sure that it's getting communicated and they get it, and you want to help them, right? So yeah.
I love that you mentioned that as well, because I feel like sometimes writing is framed as this very mystical thing that is very inaccessible. But in reality, like you said, it's something you can learn and practice and hone in your skills on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the whole idea is that, the premises of being creativity, everybody is creative, okay? To some capacity, right? And everybody express it differently. And, and we love tying that with literacy, because, the first thing you need to do is you need to communicate your creativity. You need to communicate your ideas, right? If you can't communicate ideas, no one can read your mind, right? So that's one thing that, the Wave blog and, the story writing, it's all about these kids have these wonderful ideas in their head, and, you just need to put it down on paper, express yourself, what is your voice? What is that, right? And it's funny because working with all these high school students on the Wave blog, school is so, like, teaches them how to write essays, research paper, assignments, articles, right? And it's all very structured, right? So so the idea that when we're working with some of the students in the WAVE blog, we had students that say, yeah, I can write anything. Tell me what I want to write, right? And I said, well, I don't want to tell you what to write. That's what we are about. I'm not going to assign you anything, right? It's more about like, well, what is it that you want to share with other students? Because that's what the WAVE blog is. Okay, other students read. So what would you like to read? What would you like to share, right? So it's so all of a sudden, it's different, because your writing is different, because you can't generalize, and one of the example would be like, I might have a student that says that, I'm a vegetarian and I want to write about like, why vegetarian is great and stuff like that. Well, I said, yeah, I know why vegetarian. A lot of people know why vegetarian is great, right? But what makes you be a vegetarian? Why did you become a vegetarian, right? So the thing was like, she would submit the first article, and the whole article is about the benefit of being a vegetarian, which you could Google and get gazillion article, right?
Sure, yeah.
And and then you have to go back to it and say, no, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking to, you need to add in, okay, when did you became a vegetarian? What prompted you? What was your process like? Was it cold turkey? Did you miss any meat? Did you start like, stop red meat first, then then poultry, and then seafood? I don't know, but that's what the reader wants to know. Like, what was the process, right? And then how they can relate to that, not that vegetarian is benefit. We know vegetarian is benefit, because there's enough people saying that, right? But so that would be a typical example of some of the students struggling to communicate the voice, and communicate their ideas, and and really have that moment to think about, yeah, what is it that I want to share? What is it that I want to write about? Because throughout the school, they were always being told what they should be writing, what they should be doing, right? And and that's the school, right? So yeah.
Wow, how lovely. Before we kind of part ways, is there anything else that you maybe want to mention, or something that you kind of forgot to talk about that you'd like to circle back to? Anything at all?
Well, I guess the thing is everything that, the website for sure. The thing is like everything that we talked about could be found on our website, ripplefoundation.ca. So like, we list, you can sign up on the workshop, right? So basically it's a 2-tier of sign up. We always have to make it very, very clear, because, we are dealing with minors. So that's why it's a 2-tier thing. Once you sign up, you will get an invite to be invited to sign up, right?
Okay.
So, and then you get your Zoom, right? Because the thing is, that's just because we have this 2-step process. It is because we want to make sure that, the parents that sign up is with the students, and is a student within the right age, that type of thing, and then and then when you sign up with Zoom, so there's that, the confirmation is free, so, and, and we do hope that, when you do sign up, that you do show up, because, it's hard. And I know it's hard because sometimes, like, you sign up something, especially it's free, and then, you get a lot of no shows, right? And then you have people that really wants to sign up. They can because it's full, right? So sometimes we want people to be mindful of that too, because we really don't want to start charging, because we really just want to keep it as free so that it's accessible to everyone, and we want to do that. Definitely, I want to encourage everybody to go to our website to read some of the WAVE blog. These are all written by students, and you'll be surprised that some of them are very, very, like, it's a very, very eye-opener. Obviously, I read every single one of them, right? There are book reviews, right? I'm actually reading a book that one of the students wrote, that it's a must-read book, which I've never heard of, and it's okay, let me read this book, So yeah, so it's kind of like, so it really gives you an understanding of some of the youth is going through. We did a whole series of how students are dealing with COVID. So we did a whole series of that. So we had about at least like half a dozen of blog posts where students share about how they were dealing with COVID. So you get an inside scoop in terms of like real people, real students, how they do. We also had students that share what was like having been stressed when they were grade 8. Here's the thing, you're not grade 8, I'm not grade 8, right? but you would never think that a grade 8 student is stressed, right? Well, there's an article where you can read it and then you understand why they're stressed, right?
Mhm.
So I think there's that. Okay. We're also working on coming up with a merchandise store, so that's like very exciting. That's happening
Amazing.
in this fall. So definitely do check it out, right? And obviously the books, okay, the Kids Write for Kids books. So every year, okay, all these books are available online at Amazon, iBooks, as well as Google Play. And all the proceeds are donated to the winner's charity of choice. And this year, okay, all the proceeds will be donated to Operation Smile. So that, you know, if you buy any of these books, right, so totally recommend you to go and buy some books. They are all written by grade 4 to grade 8. And I've had people that has told me that they have bought these books and they have read to the students, and then when they finish reading the book, they ask the student, they like the story, and then they tell them that, you know, that the story was written by a student of your age, and they're like, oh, like, you know, so there's
How
always like
fun.
this eye opener thing, you know, because, you know, when people think about kids writing books, they think about picture books. These
Mhm.
aren't picture books; these are story books, right? So I think it's very important, you know, to note that, you know, that they are story books and they are all very, very well written stories, right? So I totally recommend, you know, viewers out there, you know, to, you know, support Operation Smile and buy some of these books. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Amazing.
Otherwise, I'm going to go on and on. And
Thank you so much for joining us today, Ivy. It's been an
you're welcome.
absolute pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you. Yeah, and if there are any questions, you can find us on our website, find us online, you
Mhm.
know, ripperfoundation.ca. Okay?
Amazing. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Okay.
All right, everybody. To find out more about the Ripple Foundation and access all of those amazing resources, go to ripplefoundation.ca. This has been today's WOTS Weekly Feature. Tune in next week for part 2 of Children's Literature Week. And now, before we take off, we're going to show a little teaser video from Biblio Video, an online space for all things Canadian children's literature. For discounts and deals, check out toronto.thewordonthestreet.ca/weekly-features. And from all of us at WOTS, happy reading!